And good afternoon and welcome to Pinhole Quilting. It's me, Liz, and my husband Pete behind the camera, and we are live on Facebook from Pinhole Quilting, our showroom surrounded by beautiful long arms. And we had lots of lovely customers too. I'm going to say beautiful customers earlier this week. 2 days of classes, foundation and realism, feathers and fills. Full of inspiration, learning, and lots of laughter as well. So thank you very much to Carolyn, who provided a lot of the laughter, for joining us all the way from Suffolk. And Pete was also in the showroom, as was in supporting act Mark, our operations manager. So it was wonderful to see so many of you, and thank you very much for the lovely feedback. We're just delighted that you said, you know, it was inspiring, and you know, you're going to go home and practice, because although we can give you a lot of tools and techniques, it still is about time on the frame or at the table. So what are we going to do this week? And now we've got sound. That makes a massive difference because a lot of you won't be able to lip read. And we've got Amara 24. This beautiful long arm has got enormous throat space. So look at that. This is on the gallery frame, and the gallery frame is very similar to the studio frame. It's actually got a deeper distance between the back take-up rails and the front rails in order to accommodate the length of the beautiful, let me turn this one on as well, the beautiful Infinity, as well as our new Amara 24. This is a brand new machine from Handi Quilter that is very similar to the Amara 20, but actually it's got a 24-inch throat space. So similar insofar as the speed of the machine is the same, a lot of the internals are the same, but we've got this longer carriage so that you can do a lot more at a time. And the gallery frame is fantastic because you can really see what you've done previously. As you move forward, you've got lots and lots of vision for what you're going to do next as well. Lots of features on the Amara 24. We've got the tie-off stitch, we've got programmable buttons, we've got a laser light for where the needle is so that you can use it for alignment, and we've got the hand wheel at the front, so we can go hand wheel at the front and you can customize those buttons so that it's set for you. The other thing about the gallery frame is Pete is now going to pass me the studio frame rail. So the difference is the size of these rails. On the studio frame, they are a 2-inch rail, but on the gallery frame, they're a 3-inch rail. And you can actually see what a difference that makes. One of the differences is that we can set this up at 8 foot, 10 foot, or 12 foot, but you can actually also get a 2-foot extension, so it goes up to 14 feet, should you wish to do so. That's for those really massive American-style big beds. And not many people have needed a 14-foot, but it's there should you wish to avail yourself of a very large frame.
Or for turning your quilt to do a long border on a big quilt.
Oh my goodness, yes. There you go. Long borders, to turn or not to turn, that is the question. So if you were able to do your borders in a long section like this, that normally you'd be doing in chunks down the side, you could rotate it on a 14-foot frame. Good point, Pete. Very good point. Now, the Amara 24, we've just got this one in. We're going to be taking it to the Malvern Quilt Show, I believe. Will we take it to the Malvern Quilt Show? Pete's going, okay, we don't know we're taking it to the...
We haven't planned that far ahead.
Yes, there's lots of... We've been very busy, haven't we?
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, it's amazing how many things are coming up. In fact, talking about shows, I just mentioned before I start doing the demo that we will be at Belfast. Delighted that we're going over to Northern Ireland in September. And it's the Belfast Quilt Show is from the 7th to the 9th of September. So that's very exciting. We shall be towing a trailer full of long arms, putting it on the ferry, going overnight on the ferry. Very exciting. Little cabin. And then we'll be setting up. We'll have some people to help us, some lovely people to help us, won't we, Pete?
We haven't planned that far ahead.
This is sounding very disorganised. We're very organised. We know that we're going to Belfast, and that'll be lovely because I haven't been back to Belfast since we did some of the installations.
Not since you lost your hat, I think.
No, that was a long time ago. I did lose my hat. I was so gutted. I left a hat in a coffee shop, went back and it had gone. Obviously somebody had got as good taste as I had. It was a hat that was like a waxed hat with little flowery bits that used to hang down. I looked like Matilda the cow with it.
Maybe I stole it.
Yeah, maybe Pete actually, maybe I didn't lose it. Maybe they, okay. There's
So
more
you
to
see,
this than meets the eye.
Greta, you see, it's not just me that leaves clothes behind.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was quite... Do you want to tell that story, Pete? Or shall I tell? I wasn't there. You're going to have to tell it because it won't be the same if I tell it and I wasn't there.
Greta came on the training course this week with one of our delegates, and I had installed her Amara back in January. And I'd left some of my corporate clothing behind. Anyway, Greta arrives at the training course this week and gladly announces to all assembled people in the course, Pete, I've brought all your clothes with you that you left at my place.
Shocking. Absolutely shocking. I didn't hear this. I heard this third hand. So, anyway.
There we go.
It had to be Pete because it had Handi Quilter on it. There you go. Right. We're going to talk about feathers. We're going to do some little tips on threading up. We're going to talk about that in the context of this machine here. One other thing that you can do on this machine is that we can adjust the handlebars. So these handlebars, they come out and they tip. And it means that if you're doing things like micro quilting, like we were on earlier this week on Wednesday, that it means you can get a lot closer to the work as well, which is nice. So sometimes I like to sit at a little saddle stool. I'm just going to move this and not knock the camera over. So I nearly needed a ladder to get on that. Yeah.
We've already sold several of these Amara 24s.
We
and
have.
Nobody's actually tested one hands-on yet, which is rather good. So congratulations to Christine, who placed her order for the Amara 24 this morning. This very morning.
Yes, Christine, looking forward to getting that installed with you. Absolutely brilliant. Now, let me tell you a little bit. What was that? This is the clothing thing.
Sorry, yes. So Val Brooks says, so that's what the added extras are, Pete. Hey, there's a reason we're popular, you know, Val.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get those Trustpilot rankings just based on Longarm sales, Val. Right. On that basis. Whew. Anyway, this machine was used during the week by lovely Sarah. And so I'm going to just take this needle out. So to take the needle out, we've actually got a little hex in the center of the needle thumb screw that you can put your hex screwdriver in. You do get the bigger one when you get the Amara 24. So I'm going to remove that one because it's probably quite blunt by now. It's been used it's used by Carolyn as well for her demonstrations. Now, the thing about getting the needle in correctly, the right way around, and we had a few people putting it in so that the little scarf, which is at the back of the needle, so that when the hook comes past it, it just touches it on Longarm machines. They had that at the front. And I'm not going to name any names, but it was good to do that because sometimes if you do these things on a class and someone says, now that's why that's just taking one stitch, you won't forget it. Or if you forget it, you'll remember how to correct it. So it has the long groove that runs down the length of the needle, the whole length of the needle from the butt to the eye, and that guides your thread. So we're just going to put that into the machine. So you have to make sure it goes all the way up. Now you kind of think, most of the time you think you've got it in correctly. However, sometimes if it's not in absolutely facing towards you, it can chafe and wear the thread, and that results in thread breaks. So we've got these newer magnets, these little cylinder magnets in, which I think hopefully you can see that.
Yep, they're strong magnets, very useful for checking your needle.
Yep. So that magnet is going to go on to the needle. Now I thought I got that in straight.
So I'm trying to look straight on at the machine here.
It does look like it's straight.
It is just past the 6 o'clock position. It's very close.
Imagine you got it sort of more like, let me loosen it off a bit. Yeah, look, say you got it in like this. Oh. Then you're going to know. slightly out.
That's not going to stitch too well.
It's not. It's not. So I need to come in front of it and just loosen that off again and turn it around. I can leave this pretty much in place. Now I've turned it around so many times, I just need to make sure I've got that groove at the front. There we go. Once you've got it in place, it's so easy then. You just tighten it up and then you just double check that you've got that butt of the needle all the way up into the visible hole here where you can actually see the top of the needle. So I've got that in nice and straight. Put that on there. I want to change it to this gorgeous thread colour. This is one of the new ones that we got in from Lite, which is called pomegranate. It was a very popular colour last week, or earlier this week rather. So I'm going to just take that off. Look, brand new. Oh, that was something. I don't know whether anybody else had this. I mean, I just had a bit of a not very intelligent moment with these. So I used to go, oh gosh, they put these plastic on so tight and everything. I'd be using a pair of scissors, trying not to cut the thread. I don't realize you just twist it and it just comes off. Hey-ho. Also, on the glide, you've got this bit at the bottom that means that when you've used some of your thread, you can wind it away so it doesn't come unwound. And if anybody at the end of every class wants to spend some time, like I do, winding up all of the glide thread that's been used and putting those little poppers back on, then you'll know how satisfying it is. The next time you go into your thread basket and find they haven't all become like spaghetti. What are we going to do? We're going to rethread the machine by cutting off the thread that's already on there right by the cone and putting the two ends together and pulling it through. So let's just go through that. Pete, do you want to come this side of me? Because I think it might be easier to see. Okay.
Lots of cables going on here.
Yeah, we don't want to do a John Scott, do we? Where he fell over the camera cables and ended up crashing into a 3-pin plug. This is a much quicker technique. We don't let people do this on the foundation workshop, of course. We make you do it from scratch. I think there are some customers who never, ever unthread their machine. But look, it's not that hard. It isn't. That's why we teach you on the foundation.
Yes, I did speak to one customer who was having some technical problem, and I said, oh, try rethreading the thread from first principles. And she said, I've had my machine 4 years and I've never rethreaded it. I just tie it and pull it through.
That's a shocker, that is. That's an absolute shocker.
It's very useful to know.
4 years.
I'm just going to move this light.
That does remind me of the customer who came in to have a sewing machine serviced. And she was absolutely gutted when we returned it because the original needle wasn't in it. And she said, that was my mother's needle. Oh dear. They don't make them like that anymore. Now, when I pulled that through just then, what I did was I eased these tension discs apart so that the knot did not come unknotted. And it means also that I can test the tension. So I keep it light like this, so it's really loose. Then I let go of the tension discs, and then I know that I've got it in the tension discs. Fantastic. It's a good way to test it and make sure that before you even complete your threading up, you're in the right ballpark with your tension, top tension. Oh, the other thing I was going to do, I've got my awl here, because it was used on the classes as well. I wanted to show you, I'm going to put in, I have put in a new bobbin. Oh, I didn't cut that bobbin thread. So when we put the bobbin in, just visually check and just make sure that that's not too grubby inside. You can take the backlash spring out if necessary to do some cleaning. And on Longarm Learning Curve, I have put, which is the group in the UK for our UK Handi Quilter owners and for Ireland as well.
Well, there are two groups, yes.
There's international and then there's UK. I only put the files up on UK at the moment. There we go. So I'm cleaning this out. There's a light in the bobbin assembly, which is very handy for showing exactly how much fluff you've created from the last bit of quilting you did. Depends on how fluffy your thread is, of course. But in every bobbin change, we're going to put a dot of oil, and this is on the maintenance video that was also on the Longarm Learning Curve upload I did earlier today. Put that in there. Do our bobbin drop test. That is absolutely great. And I'm going to put that back in. Big click. Doesn't take a long time, and the more you do it, the better you get. So today, because I enjoyed doing feathers so much earlier this week, I thought we'd do something on feathers. Thought I'd just give you a few little tips and techniques on feathers. But I just realised I've left all my notebooks over there. Shall I just go and get my notebooks? Do you want to just talk amongst yourselves just for a second while I just get a chalk pencil?
Okay, well, let's talk a bit about the needle, because Liz has talked about the needle and we've talked about the magnet for aligning the needle. That's necessary, of course, because Handi Quilter machines all use industrial needles, because Handi Quilter machines are semi-industrial machines. Now, there are certain benefits to that. Firstly, industrial needles are much, much stronger, so they can go through fabrics of many, many thicknesses without causing any issue at all. But more importantly, the needle doesn't flex when the machine is moving very fast, and therefore it means that Handi Quilter can design machines and develop machines that go extremely quickly without any needle deflection that would cause problems with stitch formation. So there are some really good reasons for using industrial style needles, and that's why Handi Quilter made that choice right from the outset when they were designing the very first Handi Quilter machine, and that's what continues today. So at 2,500 stitches per minute maximum, the Amara 20 and the Amara 24 are very fast machines. And if you're one of those people who likes using the machines in manual mode, you're more of a fabric artist, a stitch artist, you'll really appreciate that additional speed.
Absolutely. So let's just talk about, I'm going to do some feather demo, and we're going to talk about settings on the screen, handle position, and various other things as well. So what about settings? As Pete said, actually manual mode can be really nice for flowing when you actually know what you're doing, and it can be more relaxing, and it sounds good. You know, if you get the machine will stitch at certain speeds and sound really comfortable at certain speeds, better than others. It's like a lot of, you know, things that are rotating. There are certain kind of positions at which the harmonics or whatever of the machine itself are more favorable. So sometimes you kind of hear it, and you know, and also for you yourself, in terms of how fast you like to move things. So manual speed you can adjust using the handlebars. There's a plus and a minus on the handlebars as you go. So you can kind of get into the speed that you want, or adjust it downwards should you wish to go a little slower. The setting that I would use would be something like 12 stitches per inch in cruise or continuous mode, with 250 as the stitches per minute. And that means that even when I'm not stitching and I pause, it's going to sew at 250 stitches per minute. So it gives a little bit more flow. So that's my settings. I would leave it with the needle down, in the down position, and I would always test my tension before I start. So I'll just do a quick tension test. So to do a tension test and to start off, I'm going to hold the thread in my left hand. With an Amara or with the Amara 20 or 24, I can actually program in the settings tab, and I can change the settings. So on the settings tab, which is at the cogwheel on here, I can actually change the right hand side to be needle up, needle down. If you've just got the conventional machines like the Moxie, the Simply, the Avanti, or if you haven't reprogrammed your handlebars, and you can do the same on the Affinity as well, then needle up, needle down is normally on the left hand side. So, well, it is on the left hand side. If it's not on the left hand side, you've probably got your leads in the wrong way around or something else. There's a tie off on here, so you can press the tie off and it'll do as many stitches as you've specified, and away we go. So I normally do loops, and then I do zigzaggy things. And then I check the tension and have a good look at it. So that's looking pretty good. I might just fraction more, but that's good. So each of the machines, apart from the Infinity, is a non-calibrated tension. So that means that each machine individually will have a slightly different tension number. But that's fine. For your machine, you might want to make a note of that tension number so that when you come to use Glide next, as long as you're using a similar bobbin thread that's set in a similar way using the bobbin drop test, then you're going to be in the right ballpark. So mine is 97, so I could make a note of that on a table. So when I come to stop, I'll do tie-offs again. So my tie-offs is on the star button and then needle up. I pull some extra thread from the cone, move away and come back. And then I do a final needle down, needle up, and then I can cut that thread. So that is starting and stopping on the machine and doing a little test.
Note how easy Liz is moving this machine just with finger and thumb. And she's not got the best right thumb in the world.
Quite terrible.
Due to previous skiing injury. But we had a customer at the showroom recently who had only previously used a different brand of machine and was amazed at how light
it was.
It was. The machine is actually quite heavy, but it's all about the...
it's the balance and the weight of it.
The balance and the carriage and track system.
Yeah, it's lovely to use. I mean, I'm not a big person, but I don't find this difficult to move around. It's lovely. So let's just talk about feathers for a moment. I've learnt feathers. I've been really lucky to go to some feather workshops with some excellent people, but there's also a lot of online classes, and I've seen a number of our customers increase their skill set by a factor of some huge number as a result of doing some of those classes, like the whole cloth class with Till & Jeffrey. Beth Namesh does an excellent class. Lisa Kaye's done a class that I've seen people do. There's some fantastic classes out there. And in terms of other people as well, I'd recommend Jamie Wallens. He does the Patreon class, and also Carly Porter. Been fantastic that we've actually, apart from Beth Namesh, we've had those people all have been here, so that's cool. So feathers. The thing about feathers, I suppose it might be a good idea, Pete, just to sort of watch as we're doing this. Drawing. So always do drawing practice first. Now what we get people to do on the class is follow a straight line. Following a curve is easier, but if you can get the methodology of the straight line, it's going to make it a lot easier when you come to doing more sort of shapes and things where you've got to fit stuff in, because you can do it any which way. If you practice going from left to right and right to left, to left, up to down, and down to up. So let's just start with a teardrop. And what you've got here is shapes, like half a circle pretty much here, an inside curve, and another curve here. There's basically three elements. This is sort of how Till & Jeffrey breaks it down. I think it's quite a good way to think about as well. And if you imagine that continuing, it's sort of almost like a whole circle. So that's our teardrop. And you can either do the teardrop that way or that way. Personally, I find it easier to do the first teardrop like that, because I can kind of think of that inset bit. You're back to the spine. And now, if I get my pen, you're back to the spine. You need to travel a little bit. Oop. I knew I was going to do that. As I said, Pete said, I don't have a very good thumb, so I press a bit too hard. So you travel a little bit, and then you start a new feather. And we're going to do what's called a bounce back. And bounce back is where you bounce back along the curve of the feather you've just sewn in this direction, like this. So you've gone that direction, you're bouncing back. And you go as far back. Imagine there's like a little dash line. You go back as far as the point on the dash line that you just stopped at. And then you create a new feather. And you go back to the spine. But the important thing here is that this distance increases as you go up or decreases as you go down. And it's getting that distance change that is important to the look of a feather. So let's just run through that one more time. So that, and then new feather, after having traveled a little bit, down to that little dash line, and then stop at the same point, and then create a new feather and back down. The next thing you're going to do is just repeat that second half of it. So that, and now do new feather, bounce back, and back to the spine. And travel. Here we go. This is the key thing. As far as I'm concerned, that's the key thing. And also the angle of all of these feathers. You don't want them all falling over. and becoming a feather that just falls into oblivion. So it's important to get these things, and what it might be helpful is just if you put that dash line in to begin with, so that you actually manage to go back to it each time, and then that will help you to get nice skinny or fat feathers. The same is true of the bottom. So you're coming along and back, say to there and there. Now imagine that dash line, that dash line, new one and down, feather and down. And if you practice this on paper and then go to your machine and practice it at the machine.
There's some nice ones.
What's that? Oh yeah, this was me practicing going up and down on the edge. Here we go. That was quite useful having the edge. I'll just draw a little line. Let me just draw a little line because I didn't bring my ruler.
You do need to practice these in every direction. You can get quite good at doing feathers in one particular direction, and then not so good when it's on the diagonal, for example.
You can't suspend yourself from the ceiling in order to be able to do them backwards or whatever. Here's my chalk pencil. So let's just do them down and up. So the other thing is where you work. I mean, on the Amara, on the frame that's bigger, on these bigger frames like this one, you really want to be working in this sort of section here. So if you're too far away, consider reaching over, if you can, and bringing this closer to you so that you can get access to it. Put that on, tension it up, drop everything on the floor. You know how it is. Because I've stitched that, of course, I can't really go back very far. So first thing, check your settings. Do your teardrop. Bounce back into the spine. Bounce back into the spine. Travel. Bounce back. Here we go. I hope they can see that. I think the handle might have been in the way.
Yes.
Was it?
And I was on my laptop. Okay.
Didn't see it.
Can you just turn that light down as well?
Yeah.
It will be easier to see the stitching.
Okay. Is that too much?
No, that's fine.
Is it? I don't think I can see it. Okay. So down, up, bounce, and back. Travel, bounce, and back. A new one, bounce, and back. New one, bounce, and back. Now if you want to make sure that your feathers are equally spaced, it's a good idea to do two at a time. That wasn't a very good one. I'm finding there's a camera in my way. It's the end of the frame as well. Now, if you wanted to, you could emphasize your feathers. I haven't got a ruler foot on, so don't look at this. But if I wanted to emphasize my feathers, I would put the ruler foot on and I would stitch and I would knock back a lot of this either with lots of sort of straight lines or by going into the setting for, say, a manual mode and just do lots of squiggle. And what this will do is it will make it all pop. The other thing you can do is if you happen to miss any of those bits at the top, like I missed a little bit there, I can just knock that back, and then magically it just looks fine. This pomegranate is insanely beautiful with the black. There we go.
Doesn't that look good?
Beautiful.
It is a fantastic colour.
It honestly, it's my favourite. It is absolutely my favourite. One thing I just wanted to share with you, which was a eureka moment, and I thank Lynda Jackson, Handi Quilter Ambassador, for this eureka moment. Thank you, Lynda. Is that when you're going around those bends, those corners, when you do your feather, go back into regulate. When you do your feathers, so here we go, I'm sliding again, and you're doing a bounce back, don't look at this bit here, or this bit here, or this bit here. Consider this curve, as though you're driving. I don't think I can quite do that here. So, in other words, when you're here, I'm looking around the bend, and not where I'm going. And as a result, I find, generally, that I get those much, much better.
Just explain that again, because I'm not sure I understood it.
Oh, okay. Right. Let me just give the analogy of going round a bend in a car. If you look, when you're going round a bend, exactly at the road in front of you, you don't necessarily get the curve of the bend correctly. In fact, you know, I sat next to a guy at a wedding once, a friend of David's, my brother, and he was doing his PhD on this very subject. So I know a little bit more about it as a result of sitting next to him for a couple of hours. And apparently the brain, it works out how much you need to do if you look ahead. And that's exactly what we're tapping into here. So yeah, that was his whole study, his PhD. The thing about it is, therefore, that you don't look exactly at the stitches or where the needle is, you look where you're going. Somebody else gave an analogy, actually. I forgot what it was. But it's the same as driving. There we go. That was my little insight.
Good. Okay. I understand. Thank you.
Right. Let's talk about marking. So say you don't feel up to working out where your feathers are going to go. There are lots and lots of tools to help you. You've got these full line stencils, these beautiful ones that Telen Jeffrey has done, like this. Absolutely beautiful. Or this. Gorgeous. And you've also got structural ones, like the ones that Cindy Needham has done, which you can use also with stencils, or you can use them with the fine chalk pencils. So we've got ones like this, which I used on this piece of fabric. And we can use those as this spine for our feather. We've also got the Dream Big one, which is made up of, it's a 2-pack, and it does it doesn't do that exact one because that was just free motion, but it enables you to do the fillers for your Dream Big panels. And on the back, the only thing is the misspelling of selvage. There is a salvage going on. And there are these different designs. And you can flip some of them so that they fit. That's the last one, by the way. We've got to get some more of those. Easy feather. Now, easy feathers... Yeah, easy feather, what's the difference between easy feather and the bounce back? Very simply, with an easy feather, you're doing each one separately. Okay, so that's easy feather. That's a bit like that one. So you've not got the join. I think that looks great. My first, you know, the quilt that we've got on our bed, that was done with the Sweet 16. I used that method for that because it was in my early days of feathers.
So Dibel says, yes, you need to look at where you want to go, not where you are.
Yes. Thank you, Di.
Sounds like a sort of metaphor for life, that as well, Di.
That's the road less travelled. M. Scott Peck read it on the beach. Decided I wanted to live at the beach.
You spent too much time on beaches.
Yeah, but you know, if you read M. Scott Peck's book, that's what happens. This is the Cindy Needham ones, pearls and swirls border. But actually, this one, high tide borders, is brilliant.
Let's have a look at that.
For doing Amish feather.
Can only see it when it's on a piece of black fabric.
Yeah.
So which pack is that from?
That's from the Borders pack.
That's from the Borders pack.
Mm-hmm.
High Tide Borders.
Yeah, and it's in 3 sizes. So if I just put this over here.
Yes, Jackie, exactly the same for doing pantographs, and you would know that as the queen of pantographs. Looking ahead makes your stitching much smoother. It does.
What's that? If you look ahead?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely right. Isn't it interesting? All these things kind of fall into place, and the way that your stitching is smoother also means that the machine dispenses the thread more smoothly, and your stitch quality will improve. I mean, that happens as you improve, full stop. But actually knowing where you're going. Yes, the metaphor for life. Quilting, a metaphor for life. Right, before I start this then, what I would do, because I've not done this one before, I've just rubbed off a bit of it, I need to think about, if I'm going to have feathers over here, I don't want to do my feathers all the way up there, because it's going to look rubbish. So this I need to think about where I need like little training wheel lines so that I can decide where to go. So when I come around here, there's a point at which that inner bit there. So I might, these are going to be quite small if I do it this way. And that might be fine. Curl around. And just so, you know, you've got to do your thread path like that. And then I could, how would I do this? I think I would go around the outside. You can't really, I've only ever seen one person successfully go backwards down a feather, and that is Jane Halprick. She's brilliant. So here we go. I can do bigger ones on the outside, and then they're going to be smaller here. Yeah, so let's stitch that out. What time? Just about got time. We get to quilt. Okay, chin in, head up. Whoops. We're a bit off there. It's just a guide. And back all the way down. Whoops. Need to go into that bit there. Don't forget to blink. Oops, I think something. I am going to say that I feel like the lead is just catching on the back.
Have a look.
Yeah, because I definitely felt a bit of resistance there. Always make sure the leads at the back are not catching. There's something was catching. There we go.
Wasn't the leads? Look.
What was it?
It was your nodules.
Oh, it was my
So
it was my nodules.
Good opportunity to talk about your nodules.
I could feel my nodules causing me an issue. So what are the nodules? The nodules are where the joins of the poles are. These little joining bits here. If that is down and you're trying to move it, it's going to cause you a problem. So my nodules,
pointing.
You need them pointing up.
Up.
It was just in one particular place.
Yeah.
Just there.
That's why. That's where the machine was hitting it.
It's ruined my feather. It would have been brilliant if it hadn't been for that. And it was exactly in the alignment. Look, it was there and there in the same alignment. Yep, there and there. Okay, it's good to find out what those things are. So what do we do in this session? Oh, I mean, I just keep on going. Look at that. Fantastic. We have covered feathers, changing the needle, pulling the thread through, using the magnet, oiling the machine, cleaning it out, and having fun with your quilting. There we go. Simple as that. Get on your machines. What's holding you back? You can do this. We can absolutely do this. Talking about doing this, a little story about empowerment. Empowerment is that at the weekend we had grandchildren over, and little Emily, who's 4, me and Emily. I'm called Nana Liz, obviously. They named me that because it was in a throwback to the royal family, apparently. I'm not sure that's a particularly good analogy, but anyway, Nana Liz and Emily, we do like to have a good time together. Anyway, we had a problem with a light switch. It had jammed. So I get my electrical stuff out and do the repair with Emily. And we succeeded. Girl power. Meanwhile, Pete was in the kitchen doing all the cooking. It's a slight role reversal in our house, isn't it, Pete?
I am the modern man.
He is the modern man. He is, yeah, absolutely. And he's a fantastic...
In some ways.
Yes, yes.
Maybe not in every way.
Where he chooses. Slightly selective, let's just say.
Hey, listen, this is public. I'm going to be selling myself, aren't I?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. So, feathers. Get practicing. Do your drawings. These are some of the ones after the... are these after... What were these after? Can't remember now. There's so many classes. Talen! There we go. Facebook Live on the 27th of the 10th, 2020. Practicing the shapes. Practicing your feathers. Practice, practice, practice. And to lend, this is her hints, double thread, micro quilter, glide 60. That's something else. But these are all my practicings, you know. This is what we do. We just practice, practice, practice. Me too. Yes, lots of notes. Look at that. Bump, bump, back. No. Bad. So... Got to practice. If you don't practice, if you're not in it, you can't win it. There we go. We are now going to talk briefly about upcoming classes. So we're very excited because we have got some great classes coming up. In September, we've got our foundation workshop. People have already booked on that, as well as the following day, which is rulers, feathers, and fills.
Doing more of this sort of stuff.
Doing more of this sort of stuff. So this is what I teach. And it's great fun. It's great fun. Actually, I have to say that people who were here on Wednesday, I saw some fantastic improvement in that period. Really fantastic. It's like the best thing that you can get as a teacher when someone has a bit of a eureka moment. And it's still going to be about practice on the machine, but even so, they were doing some great shapes. And it might be that 1 in 3 are really great, or 1 in 5 are really great. But ultimately, you will get it. So they're nearly all great. And every now and then you do one of them. And it can be, you could blame it on the little silver thing, like I did. So what else have we've got? We've got, so we see people in Belfast. So if you're over for the Belfast show, either from Northern Ireland or the South, so from Ireland, it'll be a great show. Do come along. Foundation workshop, and then... So
prior to that, of course, we are doing classes at Festival of Quilts. Now, those classes are aimed at people who are considering a machine.
Yep.
They're not aimed really at existing customers. Existing customers need to come here for their classes where we've got all the resources and we go into much more detail. But if you're interested in thinking about a machine, come to one of our classes at Festival. Some of them have now completely sold out.
They have.
There are still...
But there's still places.
Places available on at least 2 of the days.
I think on 3. I think on 3 days, actually. So yeah, sign up. If you're thinking about getting one, then definitely. Now, the other thing that we'll be doing is in October. Lynda Jackson will be teaching 2 days of Pro Stitcher and 2 days of Pro Stitcher Designer. Hands-on, not one per machine, but still low numbers.
Liz, will that be a 4-day class or a 2 2-day classes?
It's 2 2-day classes.
Okay, so is the Pro Stitcher class also appropriate for Pro Stitcher Lite owners?
Yes, it is. Good question, Pete. Yes, it is. With no prompting. And the Pro Stitcher Lite, the difference is, I said to Lynda that, you know, I know those differences. She's not so familiar with it because she uses Pro Stitcher. But actually, there are workarounds too. So come, Pro Stitcher Lite, Pro Stitcher Premium customers, come along and get familiar with it. It'll be all things like downloading a design as well. So, you know, and then doing a design on the sim. We're going to do it on the computer first, and then we'll stitch them out on the machine. It's fantastic. It's going to be great. Pro Stitcher Designer, that will include things like covering the section where how to get it on your, how to register it and stuff like that. So make sure everybody's registered. We'll probably do that in advance, actually. We might have a little session in advance, save time. But Lynda's become very, very proficient on Pro Stitcher Designer. And that's how she does the designs for Quiltable that she has on the Quiltable store. So I think it's going to be, you know, I really hope it's what people have been looking for. I know we've had a lot of requests for it. So lock it into your diaries, get the kennels booked, get the grandchildren so they're not booked. And 10th and 11th of October for Pro Stitcher. I'm looking over here because my calendar's over here. Not that I'm sort of not looking at you. 10th and 11th and the 12th and 13th Pro Stitcher Designer. Book it. Book it up.
The question just come in. So is it aimed at beginners of Pro Stitcher or those that have had it for a while?
I would say that even people who've had it for a while will learn, but you'll learn most, of course, if you're relatively new. But we will be teaching things that you might not know, even if you've had it a while.
Lynda, being a very good teacher, of course, will tailor the content, I'm sure, to suit the audience that she has. Absolutely
right. And, you know, Lynda's got a huge amount of skills. And, you know, obviously I teach the Pro Stitchers too. So between the two of us, I think, you know, we'll be able to give you lots and lots of hints and tips. And, you know, if you ask me a question before you know it, I'm like, oh yeah, how do you do that? That is the way I work. I was just thinking about something else when you said that. You will need to bring preferably a laptop, and it's a save the date at the moment. We will then, in due course, open it up for reservations. And we'll see what the demand is like. So it'll be like, I'm very, very interested is the next stage. Very soon, very, very soon. But I just want you to save the date now because I know it's a popular time, September, October, popular times for people to go away. The other thing is that we've got another foundation that we will be putting up on our website soon, which I say soon, it won't be next week or two, but it will be soon after that. Foundation workshop in November, the 14th of November. 15th will be a brand new class developed with our lovely Carolyn James. And this will be landscape. This kind of thing is what we'll be doing. You'll get a pack of fabric included in the cost of the course. And you will be doing lots and lots of playing with layering techniques, free motion quilting, couching, and using various other techniques like 2 threads in 1 needle to do this, and binding as well. We aim to do the whole thing in 1 day. This is another example. Yours might look a bit more like this. There are a few different variations. There will be a few different variations. And I'll post some pictures of these and some of the other samples that Carolyn's done that are beautiful. And we can have a lot of fun with them. I mean, it's real playtime.
Great wall hangings, those.
They are. And we can, you know, I mean, if you're an accomplished textile artist, obviously it's probably not for you, but actually, you know, just come along and just have fun with it as well. If you fancy having a play day. The other thing that we are planning on doing, and if you're interested in this, do let us know. But on the 16th of November, we're planning a remote foundation workshop. So that means Carolyn and I will be here and we will do a foundation workshop on Zoom. Some of it will be pre-done content and some of it will be live so that you can ask questions. We can see how you're doing your bobbin thing. So if you've not been able to attend in person, this will be an opportunity for you to do the class as a remote foundation workshop. So if you're interested in that, post it on here or just send us an email so that I can get an idea of the scale of interest in that. If you're a pinhole quilting customer who hasn't yet taken up your free class and you live in, I don't know, Fiona up in Orkney or something, for example, then you could do that instead, and we can share that knowledge with you. And what we want to do more than anything with these classes is give you the confidence to really love your machines so that you don't hesitate to use them. I mean, what we've found is there are a few people, most recently we've noticed, they've not used their machines very much for various reasons. Sometimes it's health reasons, and then eventually they decide to sell it because they kind of hoped that they would get better, but they haven't. And the number of stitches is really low. Somebody buys it and then they just fly with it. And we'd rather have the machines being used, so that's what we're trying to help you to do, is to use your machines and have fun with it. We hope that the Facebook Live sessions that we do like this are going to encourage you just to, I can just rock up to a machine here. If your machine is set up with just some scrap fabric and stuff, you can practice this too, and then just get a quilt on. Do it. Don't hold back. Go for it. That's it. That's all I was going to say. What have I forgotten? I know I've forgotten something. Oh, we'll be at Malvern Quilt Show, middle of May. Any questions that you would like me to refer to, Pete? Just going backwards on these. So Di Bell is interested in the landscape class. Wonderful. And the couching. Oh, Di, that'd be great.
Good.
You can bring your machine and we'll use, if you would like.
Claire Shortland says, any chance of Tillene coming over again?
Ooh,
not planned at the moment, Claire.
Not at the moment, Claire. As those are kind of, they're not that often sort of things.
And Pauline, who was on the class this week, has asked us to write down the names of the people who do classes for feathers, or who are good maybe at doing feathers. Yeah. You could mention some of them now, Liz, but Pauline, we will post that information as well.
It's on the back of the foundation workshop notes are a list of websites which include some of these people. So it's Find Your Muse is the title of the final pages of the foundation workshop notes. So that would include Kimmy Bruner, Tillene Jeffrey, Jamie Wallen, Bethan Nemesh, Nemesh, and Lisa Kaye. Lisa and then Calle. Lynda Jackson. Check out Lynda's. Her she's got, all her quilts and stuff. You can see fantastic examples of the use of feathers and the structure of feathers. Come to, obviously, Festival Quilts, and you'll probably see some beautiful feathers there too.
By the way, Lynda Jackson is spelled Lynda.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes it easier to find her.
It does. Capricorn Quilting.
Jenny Humphrey's interested in the landscape class.
Brilliant. That would be lovely, Jenny.
Claire Millard is interested in the Pro Stitcher class. Right, I'll put your name on the interested list.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. I think that's everything from me and Peter today.
Can I just say a few things about Pre-Loved as well? Because I listed a Moxie with Pro Stitcher Lite for sale on our Pre-Loved longarms.co.uk website this morning. Somebody's already interested and is going to visit it tomorrow, I believe. So, but there are other ones coming up. So let me just tell you the ones that I'm aware of. Get in touch if you're interested, because then you'll be the first to know. There is an Avanti with Pro Stitcher Premium coming up, which is based in Derbyshire, which will be listed very soon. And there's going to be another Moxie with Pro Stitcher Lite coming up for sale in Cumbria. So get in touch if you're interested, because I can then tell you immediately that they are launched. Absolutely. They're great opportunities to get into long arming, particularly something like the Moxie, So that Moxie Pro Stitcher Lite, absolutely brilliant, hard to use. Sadly, it's health issues, isn't it? So, it does happen. We hope that all of our customers stay hale and hearty as long as possible to keep quilting as long as their hearts desire. And a few more people saying they're interested in the classes, which is great. So we will put you down on an interested list to make sure that you're informed. Exactly. And we need to talk about dates. Next week. Next week, we are not here. We are not here next week. Where will we be? Not here. We're not here anyway. So we will see you the week after. And we wish you a very nice